Hello my friends, family and esteemed colleagues. I often talk about digestion because, let's face it, our diseases are closely related to the food we eat. And, well, in general, what we put in our body, being it food, liquids, solids, doesn't matter. But question came to address digestive problems a little bit more. And it is obvious that majority of people are suffering from some digestive problem, if not multiple ones. Now why? Well, obviously, if you eat wrong, you're going to have digestive problems. The only question is now, what is the correct diet? So when you open the internet and you start checking out, you are immediately going to be drawn towards vegetables and fruits. Same is being done to us in a school. It's all oriented toward carbohydrates. Even though our body does not have any storage for carbohydrates, no storage for glucose other than glycogen, which is emergency fuel that can last maximum 20 minutes, if that much. So we are being groomed towards vegetables. Now, how good is that type of a diet shows us just everybody has digestive problems. Then the question is, how come that people from Okinawa don't have it? Well, did you see the amount of rice they eat? It's this much. And the rest is meat, fish, pork, some kind of animal. And some stir-fry veggies on top of it. Often when people start with following my protocol, and now they are aware not to touch cooked and processed vegetable, so they increase the amount of meat slightly, and then since there is no potato, there is no pasta, there is not that heap of rice, then they make a heap of salad, raw vegetables. And after a while they start complaining, yeah, Darko, this diet, the meat just does not agree with me. I'm constantly bloated. Well, it's not the meat, it's the veggies. Okay? They are basically medicinal, means toxic. Animals, omnivores like we, like bear, wolf, fox, they, even raccoons, they are going to have greenery only as a part of a purging, not to feed on, because raw vegetables we cannot digest. So basically it's like eating paper. But they have toxic proteins that they use to guard themselves from being eaten. And usually they start creating digestive problems. And one of them first is bloating, production of gas, and also inflaming the intestinal wall, no absorption, and you start developing problem. And since we continue eating like this, animal, once when they eat something and they sense discomfort, they don't go back eating it. We are too smart for this. We continue and force our genetic system to adjust the body to it. Then discomfort goes away, and we say, well, we are eating very healthy. What is Ayurveda diet based on? It's based on people that are eating wrong diet, and then when they make some change in their diet, then we feel worse because body needs some time to adjust. So the Ayurvedic goes, no, 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 for your type, you need this much carbohydrate, this much, this. For your type, basically what they were eating mostly before. And then, okay, you cannot change this because your body needs adjusting. And in time, it is going to produce problems. Usually, they are related to inflammation. Inflamed intestine, gastritis. It's inflamed stomach. Enteritis, inflamed intestines. Gastroenteritis, inflamed bowels. And they are a steady companion of every so-called disease we have invented, like celiac disease, I don't know, irritable bowel syndrome, Crohn's disease. If you just look at, well, we'll open here again, help, internet. So we go, celiac disease, symptoms, diarrhea, fatigue, of course, bloating, gas, abdominal pain, constipation, nausea, vomiting, okay? Irritable bowel syndrome, symptoms, abdominal pain, cramping, bloating, changes in appearance of bowel movement, could be diarrhea, could be hard, okay? Again, same symptoms basically. Crohn's disease, okay, let's go for symptoms. Diarrhea, fatigue, abdominal pain, and then we can go, depending on the severity, you can also find the blood in the stool because you are damaging your intestines, high inflammation. You can develop ulcers, okay? But very often, when we look now, okay, what can cause this stuff? And then all of a sudden we see, oh, well, you have more bacteria in intestine. So right away, you know, we pin a disease on it, call it SIBO. And again, symptoms. Abdominal pain, nausea, bloating, diarrhea. Standard symptoms. Now, if you go to any of those diseases and look for origin, you will be dragged into autoimmune or genetic from someone in the family. Usual nonsense. Because again, nobody would ever think that maybe, just maybe, this healthy veggie food is not really so healthy. What do we know about bacteria in general, or about life in general? The more food there is, the richer is life. So, if you have a lot of food for bacteria in your intestines, you are going to have plenty of bacteria. Now, should you be having this? Of course not. Now, question is, well, how will you digest food if not with bacteria? Well, you should not have that type of a food that you need bacteria to digest. And if you eat correctly, you are not going to have the food like this. And yes, you will have some bacteria, but completely different ones. And this is why we say, well, your bacteria are not good. This is why you have this bloating, and this is why you make gas, and you have inflammation. So take probiotics. We'll give you the right bacteria. Well, bacteria very quickly adjust to the environment because they reproduce rapidly. Within hours, you lose everything. So there is absolutely no benefit of taking it other than placebo. That you, wow, I feel better. You make yourself feel better. There is absolutely no positive effect from it. You have to change the environment by changing your diet. Once when you eat correctly, you are not going to have these problems. None of these problems. They say, well, select disease, gluten, yeah, pinpoint the gluten. Well, if gluten causes disease, how come that only certain people suffer from this? It's not, well, gluten is one of those toxic proteins that come from plant, and they influence that we don't feel well, so we don't eat the crap. But we are being told, no, it's your papi, it's your grandpapi, it's your grand Australopithecus had it already. And but this line, it came to you. Nonsense. It's all about the diet. Diet right now. Change your diet, everything falls in place. It is, people think we are spiritual. And this is why, well, you need high vibrating food, plant. Well, plant doesn't vibrate any higher than animal. It's nonsense. It is closer connected. It is more empathic, closer connected to the quantum field, to the source. But vibration, everything that has original frequency of the creation has the correct frequency. So plant has the correct frequency, animal has the correct frequency, but now when we are cooking, we are changing this frequency. And this is where the problem starts. Again, we have to go to quantum. We have to understand that everything that we are projecting through our senses, what we experience as our reality, is nothing more than frequencies being processed through a processor that is programmed to show certain frequency in a light form, certain frequencies through your senses of touch and smell and taste, or pain, or love. And when you start changing these frequencies by heating, you will see smell changes, bingo, frequency changed. Color changes, bingo, another frequency change. The stuff becomes, it shrinks, bingo, another frequency is changed. You taste it, it tastes different than when it was raw. Bingo, another frequency. That goes for everything, plants and animal products. The only problem is that with plants, okay, with heat, you disarm many of these toxins. Not all, but many of these toxins. For example, green fruits are extremely toxic. Green mango, green banana, very toxic. You eat green banana when it's not ripe, well, you're going to have cramps immediately. But when you boil them, all of a sudden, toxins disappear. Changed frequency makes it not toxic anymore, because it's different frequency produces different effects. So now people here in Peru, In the mountains, in Andes, they eat a lot of potatoes. They have like 2,000 different types of potatoes. Down in jungle, in Amazonia, where I am now, they eat boiled or baked bananas, and green bananas, mostly. So, again, we are eating stuff we should not be eating, because the problem is with vegetables, when you eat vegetables, you get these toxins and you break cellulose, so you release dietary carbs, dietary glucose. Actually, it's simple sugar. And when you start absorbing glucose through your intestinal tract into the blood, this is where problems happen. Because as soon as sugar goes above the radar, your body squirts insulin. Insulin is poisoning your system because it's forcing them to absorb sugar. But at the same time, cells don't like it, so they start thickening the membranes. More cholesterol is needed. Cholesterol jumps, not because you are eating meat, because you're eating stupid veggies. And then your absorption for sugars start increasing, because again, sugar cannot come, molecule of sugar, glucose, cannot come from the intestine, from a food, through the cellular membrane, if there is no cholesterol, if there is no insulin. The only amount that can come is the one that can be taken in by transporter, by GLUT. So at the beginning, when we start eating, when we are young, well, we can eat this stuff because very little amount of sugar is being actually absorbed, only what is trapped by GLUT. But as the sugar is coming in, then all of a sudden it's becoming necessary to put more insulin in the blood. Whenever you produce insulin, you are increasing the level of GLUT, because body is a robot, it's adjusted. So if there is more of glucose available, you need more transporters. And then you start absorbing more sugars, not only glucose, because GLUT will transport also fructose. So originally you are absorbing small amount of fructose. Now you start absorbing more and more of fructose, creating more and more uric acid and more fat. Because it will be transformed in your body. Fructose your cells will not take, they are not programmed to use it. So fructose goes directly into the liver to be transformed into fat, and byproduct is uric acid. Glucose will get there once when the absorption of it is so high that the amount that was absorbed is higher than what can be used for immediate charging of the cells. And then the rest of it will be also transformed in the liver in a fat producing uric acid. Your rheumatism, veggies, nothing to do with meat. We are being told, oh, meat turns into acids when it's being transformed in a body. Nonsense. That's a school nonsense, garbage science, we are being told. At the same time, they are showing us the Krebs cycle, the citric acid cycle, on glucose, knowing that we don't have any glucose deposits, that we are running on fat. Well, when we eat incorrectly, we are going to have multiple problems. Now, eating carbohydrate is basically going to affect you from the insulin impact, because you are absorbing a lot of glucose. You have to produce insulin every time you eat this crap, so you are constantly irritating cells, they are thickening, which creates a problem with blood vessels. And then on top of this, we have the phytotoxins, which can be absorbed. Some of them are aromatic phenols. They appear in the blood, your cells shrink, they tighten up, they don't want the stuff to come inside. And this way, less plasma goes in, they cannot cleanse, they cannot hydrate, and dehydration sets in. And muscles and blood vessels are among the first to dehydrate. And then you have this crap of glucose, again, working through insulin, because insulin is the factor that is irritating the blood vessels and forcing them to thicken their membranes, which allows even less of plasma to come in. And less cleansing can be done, which destroys the blood circulation. It's not the sugar level by itself, it is actually the insulin. We overproduce uric acid, and then we are told not to have salt. So levels of plasma in the blood are dropping, and we all have not enough blood in the system. But nobody's checking this. Nobody's checking plasma levels. We are checking always just red blood cells, white blood cells, those regular bullshit, looking for bacteria to pinpoint problem on them when we know that it is not a bacterial problem. It is toxicity problem. Now they say, well, what toxins are you talking about? We don't see any toxin in the blood. Well, blood gets darker and it's very dehydrated, gets thick. Well, dehydration is low plasma. You got to raise plasma, otherwise you don't have enough water for cleansing. You don't cleanse. All this together creates that the cells in a body become dehydrated. As they get dehydrated, they get brittle and acidic. So muscles get brittle. Intestines are smooth muscles basically, because they constantly contract. Now these muscles get brittle. You have a problem. And as acidity increases, the sensor in the brain says, well, we got to solve this because acidic cell cannot hold electricity. This is why tension goes away, muscle tension. So the emergency hydration goes in, which is the inflammation. You inflame. Why are intestines very often inflamed? Because this is where most of the toxins come, dehydrating the cells. And this is where the allergies start coming in, because dehydrated cell cannot flush its surface if some foreign protein comes, and cannot produce enough mucus, enough protection. So protein slaps in, and body has to create local inflammation to force through pressure some water in the cell so the cell can flush itself. Doctors basically do not understand this problem. Allergy. They will tell you what are you allergic to. They have all these probes, but how to get rid of allergy? Well, antihistaminic. Well, antihistaminic prevents the inflammation, which means whenever allergic reaction comes, you take antihistaminic, whoop, inflammation goes away. You take turmeric, inflammation goes away. But this doesn't solve the problem, because the inflammation was there to help the body. Now you disarmed it. It's like a child going behind the plane's steering system, plane is on autopilot, and child start moving the steering. Bingo, you are waiting for accident. And this is what happens in the body. The more doctors get involved, the worse you are going to be with your health, because doctors simply do not understand. What they tell us in medical school is all lies. So, healing digestive system is very simple. Because when you go into cellular dehydration and acidity, now as the muscles in general get affected, they get brittle, they lose tension, so the sphincters lose tension. So now your hiatic muscle doesn't close, so you get acid reflux, but you can sense it because in the throat and it burns like a hell. But you cannot really sense it when you have a pyloric reflux. It's not really reflux, it's pyloric leakage. And now, normally when you're digesting food and you have some acid in the stomach, then as the digestion is after, what is actually happening? Food, usually you need to eat some animal protein, and the sensor gets triggered and your stomach lining start producing hydrochloric acid, and from neutral medium, as it's from plasma, as it's producing acidic medium, at the same time is equally producing alkaline medium. So the hydrochloric acid goes to create a liquid that the food comes into, to be taken apart, and the alkaline part, sodium bicarbonate, stays in the lining protecting the stomach from this acid. And then it slowly leaks into the acidic part and starts neutralizing it. And when it becomes neutral or close to neutral, this is when pyloric muscle sphincter opens up and allows now this alkaline or almost alkaline or neutral liquid to come out into your intestine for absorption and further manipulation. Well, if this pyloric muscle is not closing well because it's dehydrated and doesn't have tension, it will be leaking. So you will be leaking some acid. Don't you think that this is going to cause inflammation, reaction in the body? Of course it will. But nobody is checking for this leak. It's like it cannot happen. It happens all the time. And this is the first part of the duodenum, the first part of small intestine is where it's going to be affected the most, because then, of course, as acidity goes up, then you have the receptors, they send the message, and then you get buffers coming from the liver, and they will neutralize it. But still, and this also puts additional pressure on liver. So, eating incorrectly is going to produce huge amount of problems. And they all have basically same symptoms because it's all related to inflammation, bloating, pain, tiredness, drawing of energy, because you are putting the wrong fuel in your vehicle. Well, take your gasoline car and mix some diesel with it, and let's see how it's going to fire, how it's going to work. It's going to be smoking and farting all the way through. And it will slowly, if you continue doing this, you will seize the engine after a while. You get a big buildup of carbon. Same happen in our body, but slightly differently manifested. Luckily, we have a genetic system that picks up the vibration and then puts in a charge of the gene that resonates with that vibration to give cellular information how to deal with the problem. So we don't need mechanic, the body automatically is made to adjust. And we start tolerating things that we should not be tolerating. But always there is a cost for it, because you cannot function perfectly on a wrong fuel. It's impossible. We have a dear friend, she's a vegan, she just cannot put any animal product in her mouth. She is now, I don't know, in her early 30s. She is a wreck. All her joints are loose, pale, sciatic pain, can barely get out of bed, and refuses to eat animal products. She said, I just can't, I'm going to vomit. So vomit. This is all here, you can. Now, ultimately, everything is here. We do not need to eat. We do not need to drink. We are electromagnetic energy. But we have this computer that is set with programs that we have to obey. And then additional programs are being set through our education, miseducation. And finally, we basically have to obey this program, because if we don't, we are going to manifest what we expect to manifest. So we expect, if we don't eat, we expect to be hungry, we expect to get thin and eventually die. Well, how can energy die? We are permanent, we are toroidal field, self-charging, but it's all here. This is why it takes a lot of focus, a lot of patience to learn how to change the program. And we can witness it in India. Yogis can do fabulous things. They don't have to eat, they don't have to drink, they don't even have to breathe, some of them. They can levitate. We could all do the same thing. The problem is the installed programs. And now if we install the school program, veggies are good, meat bad, sugar good, fat bad. Well, this is completely contrary to any animal, even herbivores. Okay, they eat greenery, they don't eat carbs. Carbs would kill them. And greenery, well, they have a huge fermentation sac or huge stomach, and they have to eat a lot to get energy out of there. And they get it through fermentation process, bacteria that will turn now the usable parts of the cell, because they have cellulose, they can break the cellulose, get into the cell, take out what they like and transform it into fat. And then they become our food, or they become food of the animal that thrives on vegetables. It's adaptation system. Can we adapt? Yeah. But just look at them. Just look at gorilla. Look at the stomach that they have. If you want to look like that, you can start, and it will take few generations before you can comfortably survive on greenery. But in one generation you cannot do it. So, all these digestive problems are related to the food that you eat. And they are related in particular to plant food. Stop eating it. And this is why the Cell Healers Protocol does not allow any vegetables, especially not cooked ones or processed, not even seeds. And yeah, for purging you can have some lettuce, some salad, raw salad, but it's for purging, it's not nourishing. Fruit, raw fruit will not nourish you. Oh yeah, well, it is energy, electricity, they are full of this, they are vibration. Yeah, but that's not how brain is adjusted. And whenever you are interested to find the truth, you experiment, you do experiment for yourself. If you think that fruits can provide you with nutrition, healthy nutrition, well then, start eating fruits. Eat only fruits, nothing else. And raw, don't cook them. And see if you are going to lose weight. See how you feel in a while. You will see you're going to be losing weight like crazy because there is no nourishment. Same is with any kind of a greenery or veggies in raw state. You have to break the cellulose to get to nourishment, and it's mostly then carbohydrate, is glucose. In the meantime, you have all kinds of phytotoxins that will wreck your health. So, when you have digestive problems, if you are heavy, and you can lose some pounds, go on plasma fasting. You won't be even hungry. Whenever you're hungry, you drink more plasma, water with sea salt or diluted seawater. And you will see that you start feeling better and better and better. You'll probably get diarrhea and you'll be flushing the toxins at the same time. You will be cleansing the whole system, but you will be also hydrating. First, it will take 3 weeks just to cleanse blood enough so you can hydrate on cellular level. But at least for this, if you are doing fast of, let's say, 2 weeks, you will already shift your genetics to the correct state, because they will empower cells to produce sufficient amount of energy using fat, your fat in this case. So as soon as you drop the weight to the point where you want to be, you don't want to get any skinnier, then you start eating, but eat the same food that your body is now using. And what is that? Animal fat and protein, nothing else. And have it in as raw form as possible. Raw is best, but again, it takes time to adjust to raw meat. So you can sear it, you can lightly cook it. Whatever you cook coagulates protein, so it's non-digestible, but the inside that is not very cooked, this will be digestible, self-digestible, because it has digestive enzymes. Very easy to digest. Raw meat, raw animal products, very simple and easy to digest. And you will see, you will continue hydrating on cellular level because you are not being poisoned by phytotoxins. All spices, including your garlic, your onion, your leek, including cinnamon, many other spices, they have such a toxicity that your cells will stop hydrating if this is present in the blood. So, can't have this food. If you just focus on animal products, dairy, eggs, and anything that moves, as raw as possible, you will continue providing your body with exactly same nutrition that it was having when it was fasting. Only now it will be taking energy from the food you are eating, so it will not be taking from your body. And if you eat more than necessary, then it will be depositing into your adipose tissue, so you rebuild a little bit your weight to a healthy state. And that's it. And if you don't want to raise the weight, then eat less fat, eat more protein, because protein has less than half of the caloric value of fat, similar to glucose. So this is how you heal yourself. At the same time, plasma allows you to constantly cleanse. As your cells release their toxic product, uric acid, you cleanse it. You just leave in the body what is necessary for production of stuff which the body needs, because it's antioxidant. You don't need any other antioxidant. It helps also in production of stomach acid, hydrochloric acid. But again, hydrochloric acid, which is your sodium chloride, it's a salt. You get it in plasma, you have it in plasma. This is why, not this, but one of the reasons why you need plasma is because you need water. And to make plasma, you have a lot of salt there, sodium chloride. So that goes, and it's being used for many purposes, of which one is antibacterial. Nothing healthier than drinking plasma, water with sea salt. I'm doing this for over 20 years. I don't drink water without sea salt. I put 1 teaspoon of sea salt per liter of water that I drink. People always go, yeah, but I suffer from kidney stones and now more salt. Well, you have kidney stones because you don't have enough salt. You cannot cleanse. You cannot cleanse uric acid, so it crystallizes. Simple. So all problems with digestion are related to wrong diet and lack of plasma. Follow Cell Healers protocol and you are going to heal. Of course, sometimes, especially when we are extremely toxic, older we get, more toxic we are, because it's cumulative. Then through all these things that are inserted in us, and all the wrong recommendations, and not being able to cleanse. Anybody who has dark urine is low on plasma. Everyone who is constipated is low on plasma. That's what's constipation. It has nothing to do with dietary fiber. Anybody who has a problem with intolerance for lactose cannot have dairy. It's because they are dehydrated. This is one form of allergy. Anyone who is allergic is dehydrated on cellular level, is acidic. And now say, oh, acidity, oh, yeah, okay, so we're gonna eat alkaline stuff. Well, we are talking about cellular acidity. Blood is always going to be alkaline no matter what you do, because if you change alkalinity of the blood, you die. And cells are always going to be acidic. Now, if you over-acidify them, problem. If you try to alkalize them, you die. Can't. So don't be stupid. None of this works. And this is why everybody is searching for the correct diet, and they don't want to accept the simplicity of it. If you are overweight, fast but with plasma, so this way you can keep cleansing at the same time, and it kills hunger. And you will see, you will adjust the body, you will feel great. All the problems are going to start disappearing. So when you start eating, don't eat what created the problems. Your cells, your body is now used, adjust it again properly to use fat, called triglycerides. So munch fatty food, animal fats, because you need unsaturated fats. Forget about vegetable oils. Okay, I think I explained this. Of course, if you have any questions, specific, let me know. Other than that, love you all. Until next time.